The current U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. Did I read that right? Who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale. You also said less than a month ago that John Roberts, you retweeted this out. John Roberts is a disgrace.
No, I
disagree with Justice Roberts. Well, you didn't call him Chief Justice Roberts. You called him John Roberts. Chairman, and thanks to all of our witnesses who have joined us today. Mr. Payne, let me start with you, sir. You're kind of in the middle here. You work for the Campaign Legal Center, is that right?
That's correct.
Is your website campaignlegal.org?
Correct.
Okay. Does not the front page of your website say, I'm going to quote here, I want to get it right, the current U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. The current U.S. Supreme Court is a threat to our democracy. Did I read that right?
What I can say is that our organization...
But is that on your website?
I am not certain exactly what's on the website.
Here it is, right here,
Okay.
big as Dallas.
What that refers to is the voting rights voting rights cases of the Supreme Court. Our organization is a voting rights organization that fights for all Americans to have the ability to vote.
Yeah, but you got to click a bunch of times to find that explanation. I just want to make sure I read that correctly. A few months ago, Mr. Payne, you retweeted the following statement. Some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale. Some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale. Now, that's a pretty bold statement.
I'm sorry, Senator, is that a news article?
No, sir. That's a retweet here. You tweeted this out. Tell me which justices are for sale.
I don't recall that tweet, but...
Here it is. November 21, 2022. Can you tell me which justices are for sale?
No.
Are any of them for sale?
No, the problem is that the American public has a perception that some justices may be.
I'm going to establish the point first. I want to know, you tweeted this out. Do you believe that some justices are for sale? And if so, which ones?
No, Senator, I do not believe that justices are for sale.
Then why'd you tweet this out?
Can you provide more context of what that is?
I'll get you a copy, but here it is. I checked it and triple checked it. You also said less than a month ago that John Roberts, you retweeted this out. John Roberts is a disgrace.
No, I
disagree with Justice Roberts. Well, you didn't call him Chief Justice Roberts. You called him John Roberts.
In today's fiery Senate hearing, Senator John Kennedy challenged witnesses over accusations aimed at the U.S. Supreme Court, judicial ethics, and claims that certain justices have been influenced by wealthy donors and political interests. What began as a discussion about court transparency quickly turned into a tense confrontation over controversial social media posts, public trust in the judiciary, and allegations of corruption. As the hearing unfolded, Kennedy repeatedly pressed witnesses to defend their statements and explain whether they truly believed members of the Supreme Court had been compromised. The exchange began when Kennedy turned his attention to a representative from the Campaign Legal Center. Referring to statements published on the organization's website, Kennedy read a headline declaring that the current Supreme Court is a threat to democracy. That I watched as Kennedy asked the witness a straightforward question. Was that statement really posted on the organization's website? The witness acknowledged the language but argued that it referred specifically to voting rights decisions made by the court. Kennedy wasn't satisfied. He pointed out that visitors to the website would first see the bold accusation before reaching any detailed explanation. For him, the issue wasn't just the policy disagreement, it was the broader message being sent about the legitimacy of the nation's highest court.
No, this is,
You retweeted this?
no, Senator, I did not retweet that.
Yes, sir, you did, right here.
I will
It's
need
big
to
as
see,
Dallas.
can you provide a copy to me
Sure,
now? But
sure.
I did not retweet
Can you
that.
tell me why you think Chief Justice Roberts is a disgrace?
I did not say that, did not retweet that.
Oh, okay. Maybe Twitter got it wrong.
Someone got it wrong.
Let me ask you this, because the unstated premise of all this, sometimes it's stated, but the unstated premise of all this is that some justices have been bribed. Let's just cut to the chase. Okay? Now, let me stay with you, Mr. Payne. Well, no, let me go to Mr. Fogel. I don't want to just pick on you, Mr. Payne. You can be looking up on Twitter where you said those things. On April 4th, 2019, the American Civil Liberties Union paid for Justice Sotomayor's trip to San Juan, Puerto Rico. You ever been to San Juan, Mr. Fogel? Is it expensive?
I keep forgetting. Well, it depends when you go.
Yeah. How much you think it costs to go down there?
Depends whether you fly first class or economy.
What if you fly first class?
Oh, probably a couple $1,000s
Okay.
Yeah.
The ACLU, do they have cases in front of the Supreme Court?
all the time.
They do, all the time?
Sure.
Do you think the ACLU was trying to bribe Justice Sotomayor?
No, sir, I don't.
I don't either. But that's the unstated premise of all of this.
Well, Senator, if I
All
may,
these articles about Justice Clarence Thomas and the Chief Justice in the United States and Justice Gorsuch, who sold an interest in an LLC to a Democratic donor who had never met, that they bought him, isn't it?
may I say something in
Of
response,
course.
Senator? I think there are two things going on here today. I think there is a political conflict, which is, as I said earlier, it's very intense. It's hyper-partisan. Both sides have things to say. And then I think there's an ethical issue.
When you accuse people of being bribed, it kind of gets their attention.
Sir, hold on a second. I'm not accusing anybody of being bribed. I'm not.
But some people are.
Some people are. The reason I'm here is I think that there is an ethical issue that, as Senator Graham said earlier, it would be good for the court to think about in terms of being more transparent. That is what I care about. That's the only thing I care about. There's a lot of political back and forth. It's very interesting. I'm very interested in it as a citizen of the United States. But I think the most useful thing that this or any other committee could do is think about how do we make our institutions...
Well, how are you going to do that in the context, though, of one of our leaders, for whom I have great respect, going on the steps of the United States Supreme Court, telling two justices if they vote in a way he doesn't like, they will pay the price and reap the whirlwind. You have another one of your witnesses here tweeting out stuff saying, quote, some justices are politicians in robes who thrive in a system where access and influence are for sale.
Yep.
He said they were bought like a sack of potatoes.
Okay, I'm not going to comment on that, Senator. That's not anything I had anything to do with. So,
Did I hear the gavel?
thank you.
I hope. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Hirono? I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Blumenthal. Senator Blumenthal.
The hearing intensified when Kennedy shifted to social media activity. He referenced posts that had been shared or reposted by the witness, including one claiming that some Supreme Court justices were politicians in robes who thrived in a system where influence was for sale. Kennedy immediately zeroed in on the wording that if some justices were supposedly benefiting from a corrupt system, he asked, which justices were being accused. The witness repeatedly stated that he did not believe any justice was actually for sale. That answer only led Kennedy to ask why such a statement had been promoted in the first place. The back and forth became increasingly tense as Kennedy cited additional posts criticizing Chief Justice John Roberts. The witness disputed some of the claims, creating a moment of confusion as both sides disagreed over what had actually been posted online. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this coverage, Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest political and congressional hearing breakdowns. As the discussion continued, Kennedy argued that many of the public attacks on Supreme Court justices share a common implication, that certain members of the court have effectively been bought by wealthy interests. To test that argument, Kennedy turned to another witness and referenced a trip taken by Justice Sonia Sotomayor that had been funded by the American Civil Liberties Union. Since the ACLU regularly appears before the Supreme Court, Kennedy asked whether paying for such a trip amounted to an attempt to bribe a justice. The witness quickly rejected that suggestion. Kennedy agreed, saying he didn't believe it was bribery either. His larger point was that if similar situations involving conservative justices are routinely portrayed as corruption, then the same standards should be applied consistently across the board. The exchange highlighted the growing political divide surrounding the court and the increasingly heated debate over ethics standards for federal judges. The final portion of the hearing focused on whether Congress should pursue greater transparency measures for the Supreme Court. One witness argued that improving disclosure requirements and increasing transparency could strengthen public confidence in the judiciary. He emphasized that his primary concern was ethics reform rather than partisan politics. Kennedy pushed back by pointing to public statements made by prominent political figures who had harshly criticized members of the court. He questioned how meaningful conversations about ethics could take place when some activists and politicians were openly portraying justices as corrupt or illegitimate. The witness declined to engage with specific political comments, instead reiterating that transparency and public trust should remain the central focus. As time expired, the hearing ended with neither side backing down, leaving unresolved questions about judicial ethics, public confidence, and the increasingly political battles surrounding the Supreme Court.